Great. Okay.
All right, good morning, everyone. This is the Weston Board of Ed Curriculum Subcommittee meeting, Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025 at 9:33 a.m. Uh, I am substituting in for our subcommittee chair, Lisa Luft, and myself and Nicole Wallach. This is our first meeting as new members of this committee. So I'd like to welcome myself and Nicole. And that means that we do have a quorum of two board members, so we can proceed. So I'll let Dr. Henkel proceed from here.
Great. Good morning, everyone. I too want to welcome Mr. Gordon and Ms. Wallach to our curriculum subcommittee meeting. Peter is not new to the board, but new to the committee, and Nicole is new to the committee and to the board. So welcome to you both. And Lisa Luft, as Peter mentioned, is leading the subcommittee, but she is not with us this morning. So just as a reminder for those that are new to the committee, the purpose of our curriculum subcommittee is to collaborate between Board of Education stakeholders and our school-based leaders to discuss all aspects of curriculum instruction, school culture, and climate within the Weston Public Schools. The virtual format does follow some norms, so we do ask that when you are joining with us, you keep your camera on if it allows you to do that. We'd like to see your pretty faces and smiles. We also ask that we keep our microphones muted because there sometimes is background noise when people are presenting, and depending on where you are, we like to try to keep that at a minimum. We know that in a virtual format, sometimes we can get a little distracted. So we are asking that for the hour that we're together, that you're present and engaged, that you ask questions that are with good intention, and you are asking questions to understand better certain topics that are on the agenda. And the last one is to ensure that when we do take time to build the agenda, we stay on topic. And if there are additional agenda items that we want to add to future meetings, we can definitely do that. But given the short time frame that we have for this hour, we really try to stick to the agenda and make sure that we're on task. Mr. Gordon, if you don't mind asking for the approval of the first minutes from last meeting, that would be great. I don't know how that works, given that.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the hiccup, is that neither Nicole or I participated, so we would have to abstain. Lisa, I believe, did. So why don't we defer to our next meeting?
great.
Lisa could be a majority of one to approve the minutes.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much. Okay. As I always do, I present a couple different updates out in the field in the curriculum area. Last week, we talked about some of our partners as parents as partners events that we're doing across the district, specifically in K-5 around literacy curriculum and mathematics curriculum. We've had a series of early elementary math and literacy presentations to parents, and our intermediate upper elementary school grades 3 through 5. They are in the last literacy series, which is this Thursday morning at 9:15. If anyone is listening and you have time and you'd like to go and learn more about our 3-5 literacy program, our curriculum and instruction leader, Alex Bluestein, is the one that leads the literacy program there. Our math program was completed with the series last week, and James Bruni conducted those. So we do encourage you, if you are community members and want to learn more about our K-5 curriculum and literacy and math, these are recorded sessions. They are posted. So if you have time and you want to review it later, this is a great source to go back and learn about ways that you can support your children at home and extend the learning beyond the classroom in literacy and math. So I want to give a shout out to them because they put a lot of time and effort to put these presentations together and really make them interactive and engaging for parents. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is an hour subcommittee meeting, and so we're very intentional about the presentations that we present during this time. We want to make sure that we allocate enough time for questions at the end of our presentations and give enough time to go deeper into specific topics. Today's presentation is around Weston High School's program of studies. We're joined today by Principal Canetta. She's on the call. Hi, Megan. We also have Meredith Jackson. She's our Director of School Counseling at the high school. And we're joined by members of our curriculum and instruction leadership team that supports the high school program of study and all the courses that are being offered at the high school. Amy Holmes is our CIL in secondary English. She supports middle school and high school English. We have Mary Faith Zengi. She supports our K-12 physical education and health department across all 4 schools. We have Liz Morris, who also is our CIL for K through 12, supporting all 4 schools in the area of music. And Riley Rappaport, who is currently on maternity leave right now. And so Megan is going to support some of the updates in the math area when we do that presentation. But I always like to give a shout out to our CILs because they lead a lot of this work in partnership with our district leaders and our school leaders. And so really trying to give a broad picture around the scope of their work because all of our CILs at the secondary level support more than just the high school. They support the middle school as well. And our special area CILs support all 4 schools. So just want to give a little context because Nicole, I know that you're new in this area as well. So just giving a little bit more background and color to some of that work that we have. So Megan, I'm going to pass the mic over to you to start, and I'm going to present and drive the presentation for you. So just give me a moment while you take over.
Thanks, Tina. Hi, everybody. So today we are going to do an overview of our program of studies. Seeing as it's December already, the year is flying by. Our program of studies gets released sometime in mid-January as we prepare students to start thinking about the courses that they want to request for I can't believe I'm saying this, for the 26-27 school year. So when we do this presentation, we're not only talking about the program of studies, which is our workbook essentially for students to take a look at and parents and to skim through those courses and determine, and especially as they age through their high school experience, the opportunities and the options and electives they have also open up to students as well. For 9th and 10th grade, often it's pretty prescribed, and sometimes the offerings are not there, like those choices are not there. And then as they age into high school, their options expand. So if you could go to, I know you introduced everybody. We're going to talk about some of the updates and revisions we'd like to make to the program of studies this year as well. Tina, if you can go to the next slide. So the program of studies, Meredith, I don't know if you want to talk about the overview of the program of studies.
Yep. I can talk to it. So the program of studies, as Megan said, is updated annually to reflect course offerings for the next school year. So we are starting the process right now for updating it. Students will have a packed lesson on January 21st, where they will review the document, the program of studies. They'll be told about any difference in course offerings, things that we're highlighting for them. We also like to do a lesson on time management when we have this packed lesson. We're talking about overall balance. So we're talking about the course selection process, and teachers make recommendations. However, if you're recommended for 4 honors classes, maybe you don't take 4 honors classes, right? So they'll be meeting with their counselors to talk about overall balance and time management. So that's something that we also want to stress with them in that packed lesson. And when I mentioned counselors making appointments with their students, so for the month of February, if you're not familiar with this process, every student in the high school gets a 15 to 20-minute appointment with their school counselor to go over their recommendations and to also talk about balance in the program of studies. So this leads me to the next slide, which talks a little bit about...
Meredith, I'm sorry, before we move on, just to clarify, can you elaborate on PACT for a moment?
Sure.
Just so that people and Nicole know what PACT is at the high school?
Sure. PACT is our advisory program here at the high school. It meets every Wednesday for 30 minutes, and the students will have a group of about 12 to 13 students in each group with one adult that they stay with for all 4 years at the high school. So it's an area where we do, things for school climate. It's also an area where we do sometimes some housekeeping around course selection and things of that nature. There's also other events that we do for team building and things of that nature.
I think too, it's also important to mention that PACT stands for Positively Achieving Community Together, which came out of a joint collaboration in our committee with students, parents, and staff members to develop that acronym. I know we all love acronyms in education, but it was really a joint effort. And as we really embraced that once a week advisory period for the school.
Mhm. Yep. And then, so this slide reflects a graduation planner that all counselors use during their course selection meetings with students. So during the meetings, counselors fill out the planner every year with the courses students are currently enrolled in order to track credit in specific areas. So this is like a little glimpse of what it looks like. There is a link to it in the presentation, but just to kind of go over the graduation tracker, there's main areas that you can see students need to achieve credit. And I think maybe we're pulling it up here so you guys can see it. So for example, if you look at the top for humanities, students between grades 9 and 12 need to earn 10 credits in the area of humanities. And then you can see where it's broken down, okay, by subject area. So 4 English, 3 social studies with some specific requirements in that, visual and performing arts, world language, and then choice, okay, for the 10 credits. Then if you look down to the STEM area, we have 9 credits required for graduation. Within the STEM area, there's 3 credits for science, 3 credits for math, and I'll touch on that in a minute, and then 3 STEM choice areas where students can choose choice for the remaining STEM requirements. So just reflecting back on the math, you may see this as one change this year. Including the 3 credits is going to be the financial literacy requirement that the state has had now for graduation. So that's that half credit requirement that all students now have to have. So we are including that under math in the STEM area. And then lastly, on the tracker, you can see students taking PE and health and their requirements for every year, as well as the lastly would be students are available to take 3 credits of choice in any area. It does not have to be in a specific subject area that they choose. And then lastly, to get to our 25 credits, you'll see on the bottom, that's the mastery-based learning assignment that all students do senior year. And once they complete that, they get the credit for that. So it's a total of 25 credits, including the mastery-based assessment. And
Which
so
it'll be, just for familiarity, the mastery-based assessment is the portrait of the graduate portfolio that students complete throughout. They start a little bit in their sophomore year and then really complete it in their junior and especially their senior year with submission in their senior year.
It's my favorite event of the year. And Peter and Nicole, I know that you'll get an invite, or Peter, I don't know if you've engaged in it before, but we allow, and we have authentic audience members from the community, from the board, and you get to actually come in and be present for presentations by our students around their experience and the development of their portfolio. And you get to have ask questions about their experience. It's a highlight of the year for me. I love it. So sorry, just put a plug in there.
And at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Megan to talk about the department updates.
Okay, I'm going to sub in for Riley. So bear with me as a former social studies teacher, not a math teacher. So we are proposing an update to our math sequence. If you remember, Peter, you may remember last year,
Yeah, just before you begin in the departments, Megan, can you just give an overview of how the organization of each slide and department is, within this presentation so that Nicole and Peter understand the format?
Nicole says we'll have another meeting on December.
Just give me one second. We have announcements happening.
Let me go over this one. So here's how the template looks for the presentation. Each department is asked to summarize what course updates they are presenting today. They may be asking or recommending that a certain course be sunset or removed from the program of study for a variety of reasons, whether it's interest, whether it's enrollment. That's one piece if they have any of those courses. The next is, are there any revisions or updates to courses that are currently in existence in the program of study? That could be curriculum updates, it could be resource updates, it could be scheduling updates, it could even be, I mentioned curriculum updates, which is aligned to objectives. It could also be whether or not they're offered for a year-long or semester courses as well. And then finally, are these courses new to the program of studies that they would like to add within the department because of interest or other mandates or requirements from the state? And then finally, as you know, you are board members and we're starting the budget process, and we always make sure that we try to connect your role as the board members to the work in the schools around curriculum instruction and all the different initiatives and needs throughout the district. So the last piece is talking about what do you need to know and understand as board members as a result of the different departments and the changes or updates that they're requesting today. It could be materials, it could be resources, it could be staffing, it could be software, it could be training, a whole bunch of different things. So I always ask them to kind of tie it in a nice bow so that as a board member, you are understanding exactly what your role is within these requests that are presented to you today. Okay, so Megan's going to start with the math department.
Okay, thank you. We're so excited as kids announcing too. It's, but they can go on. So for math, if you remember last year, we added an Algebra 1 linear equations course to our math sequence. And this is really intended to support students who need some extra time with Algebra 1. We did a lot of research. We ran a lot of numbers to really determine the area of growth for us in our math sequence was really some deficiencies for some students in their algebraic understanding. And so seeing that kind of play out in our Algebra 2 and then our pre-calculus classes, we went back and said, okay, where do we maybe need to slow it down for some kids? And if you remember, we also had an accelerated algebra geometry class. We did some research around that. We ran the numbers in that to see if that was really having the intended outcomes that, you know, that were intended based on the integration of that course. So we sunset that accelerated Algebra 1 geometry course. And we really looked at students. Our goal is for all students to graduate Weston High School with a minimum completion of Algebra 2. That is ultimately our goal. And so just in looking historically, we noticed that there were some students who maybe did not have access all, you know, with good intentions, to a rigorous sequence of courses beginning in their freshman year. So what we wanted to ensure was that the students had a place for entry into Algebra 1 at the pace necessary to support their understanding. As a result, we introduced Algebra 1 linear equations last year. So the course that we are adding this year is the follow-up to that Algebra 1 linear equations, the integrated geometry and quadratics course. And so really this addresses the diverse needs of our students. It allows them to build a strong, solid foundation in quadratics while also addressing the geometry standards. And so it really extends the algebraic learning from that Algebra 1 linear equations class into the quadratics while also addressing those geometry standards that we know students need. And it really sets up all students, and that key word is all. It sets up all students for success in their future math choices. It's staffing neutral. We were teaching these students. We've just really kind of tried to cater to the needs of our students upon reflection and really looking at our outcomes and the data over the last few years.
Perfect. I just want to give some more context to the standards at the high school level for mathematics, just to give you some background, Nicole and Peter. The state standards for high school math do not create courses for districts. There's very large buckets of standards. There's algebra standards, there's geometry standards, there's functions standards, there's statistics standards. It's up to the local districts to design curriculum to weave in all of those standards in logical sequencing, whether it be Algebra 1, Algebra 2, statistics courses. It's up to us as a local community to design the standards in a way that makes logical flow and sequence for our students based on the data that we have in front of us. So the state standards do not create courses for high schools. You have to build them and design and weave in the standards based on what courses would meet your needs. So Riley and Megan have done a great job over the last couple of years looking at that course sequence and looking at data to drive and design the high school curriculum sequencing and the courses that we offer. So just wanted to add that in because some people may think that, hey, we've got standards, and how do those standards relate to the courses that we offer in math specifically at the high school? It's not a pretty bow and a pretty package where you're creating courses and reflecting those standards based on what the state is outlining. You have to design it yourself, which is fun, but it also takes a little bit of creativity and integration of the actual students in front of you based on the data, as Megan said. Okay, I'll move on.
Does Nicole have her
Nicole has a
up?
hand up.
And
Oh, I'm
would
sorry.
you like us to hold our questions?
Yeah,
or-
let's hold the questions till the end and then just write them down as you go, and then we'll come back. Amy, I think you're next with English.
Sounds good. Megan, feel free to jump in when I'm speaking about some of the scheduling conflicts. Well, again, thank you, everybody. And I'm really excited to have the opportunity to talk about our proposed revision or update of English 12. And again, we've really reflected and taken into consideration a lot of feedback from our critical stakeholders. We surveyed students, we heard from parents, support staff, administrators who work directly with scheduling, that a change, a revision to our English 12 course being separated into semesters, but returning back to the year-long format, that return, along with kind of an evolution to our existing format, would be beneficial to students. And so we believe that this shift back to the year-long format would allow for that consistency and choice. And we really want our 12th graders, our Weston High School students to graduate having engaged with beloved established course material, also paired with the addition or the enhancement of that year-long professional writing strand, which a year-long format would allow us to do. And so we've heard, and we do agree that writing that is connected to professional life and college readiness, and those multimodal tasks are really important. And if we return back to that year-long format, it really gives that dedicated space for that strand, paired with our already existing amazing units to live and thrive. So some context, a few years back, we decided to shift to a semester model, and it really, at the heart of that decision, was student choice. However, there were some unintended scheduling pressures and conflicts, which really kind of surfaced in uneven election enrollment. In some cases, students couldn't pursue electives of interest because of those constraints. And this new, or not so new, but return to the year-long format still really preserves that element of choice. And what we've done over the past couple years with these semester-based classes is we've created a really robust curriculum that is centered around 10 really cool units. And so what the year-long structure gives us is a flexibility, and it also offers agency to our 12th grade students to collaborate with their English teacher and to determine which unit and assessment pathways. We have really cool assessment menus that we're designing, that the teacher, mentor, and the students can really work together to decide the units in the sequence that they'd like to follow. And this really helps with our portrait of a graduate what are they called? Competencies. And so we're really keeping that in mind and trying to align this kind of revised experience with those competencies. So we really think the restoration to that year-long format that was disrupted by the semester system really will enhance the student and teacher rapport, give us that opportunity to kind of consistently, thoughtfully thread the professional writing components, um, and preserve and elevate the units that are already developed within our curriculum.
Amy, I'll jump in too. So
Yeah.
what we saw over time, we had a number of electives, whether it was criminal minds, emerging voices, and what we've noticed is that students, for the most part, the vast majority of students were selecting the same elective. So we weren't even running the other electives, which was really the intention of offering that choice. So what we're really seeing is a development of a pretty targeted student interest area. And so building that into this year-long English class, I think Amy spoke to that consistency too. When students start their senior year, they're really working on their personal narrative, right, Amy? We're really helping them as they prepare for their post-secondary experience, whatever that may be, and the writing that goes along with that experience. And for most of our students, it relates to their college essay. And then that consistency. So keeping that instructor, that teacher for the full year really allows that teacher to continue to understand the student, understand their perspective, their point of view, and really help them with targeted writing improvement without that semester disruption. All of our English classes prior to senior year are year-long classes. I think the teachers and the students appreciate that consistency. So we tried something, right, in the best interests of students. And we also saw that we were creating another singleton, which in our scheduling is that one elective that students might take can be disruptive to their schedule when it hangs out there on their own. So providing that year-long course, I think will also help open up some options, which again was another intention that did not come to fruition in our scheduling.
And just to clarify for the group, English 12 is a requirement, right? Because
They
if you
need
go-
4 years of English.
Right. If you go back to that planner that Meredith reviewed, English has a requirement to have 4 credits by the time they graduate, English 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think, Peter, you had asked a question in an email about prerequisites. So yes, English 11 is the prerequisite for 12, and it is required that all 12th graders complete 4 years of English. Thank you.
I'll also add that the other English classes that are available to students, whether it's honors, humanities, or AP Lit, are all year-long classes. So it really just maintains that continuity across all 12th graders. Okay. Next is Liz Morris for music.
Hi, everyone. So this is a proposal for a guitar class that we would like to increase our accessible choices for students in our menu of options for music courses at the high school. We currently have AP Theory and Music Theory and an ECE course that are probably a little bit more intense, something that's more an elective class
what's
that's more for
ECE?
somebody with our academic minds, I guess. And for music, very often students that are in our ensembles, our performing ensembles, or our honors performing ensembles will take some of those courses. We had done a survey, actually, we had done a through Power School, actually, and we realized that over 60% of our graduating seniors had never taken a music course while at Weston High School. And so we really thought that that may be because there wasn't anything that was really accessible to them without some sort of extra commitment. So we brought back our a guitar class, and this is just really giving it a little bit extra with songwriting and recording. We had a composition course before. We think that that may be too heavy. We want something where students can learn a little bit about harmonizing instruments, learn a little bit, play a couple of songs, and then be able to do some songwriting and recording. We have had students go on to Berklee College of Music for songwriting. And we think that this would be a really a great entry point for some students who are not been playing in one of our ensembles.
The
Sorry.
Portrait of a Graduate that I was in last year, he was one of those students who wrote music and actually published it, and it was amazing. Just on a
And is at Berklee College of
Oh,
Music.
is he the one?
He's one of them. We have another one at Peabody, but he's for digital music. But yes,
Yeah, it was one of the best presentations. He was amazing. Liz, quick question clarifying. Can you talk a little bit about the class set of guitars and some of the equipment needed for it?
So we have 12 right now. Over the years, since we haven't run this course in a while, they've kind of, migrated into other classrooms. Sometimes the strings classroom, or we've had students that wanted to practice and use some of our equipment. So I think there might be another one in the band room, but there's 12 currently on the rack. So depending on the size of the class, we would need a couple of more of those. And the ones that we use are student guitars. They're not super expensive. I think they're like $150 each, and that comes like with a case and everything. So
Great. This is one of those examples where, is for you as board members, when we start getting into the budget requests, you'll start to see the connection between these materials requests and what is actually asked for within the departments. So we have more specificity around the numbers, but all of this relates into what we've already worked on with our principals around budget requests as we move forward. So thank you for that, Liz.
Sorry, you mentioned ECE.
Yep.
What is ECE?
Yep. We'll start. Go ahead.
the ECE course that we have for music is the Early College Experience through the UConn, and we have a semester course that we offer in American Popular Music and Diversity.
Yep. This one is not an ECE course.
No.
But we do offer, and Megan, you can add a little more context to it for sure.
We're coming to that in the presentation,
exactly.
so I don't want
Okay.
to steal the thunder of that segment, but it's a growing area for us, the early college experience options for kids.
Yeah, sorry, I saw it. I reviewed the
Yeah.
slideshow. I saw it later in the slideshow, so I didn't mean to go into it, but
No,
I saw
all
like,
good.
you mentioned ECE as an offering, so I just want to know what the acronym meant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Music is one of our first places where we offered it years ago, really starting like 20 years ago, and music kind of took that dive with us to offer the ECE popular music and diversity. And we haven't had kids enroll, but we're still hopeful. We're hanging it out there. And we'll talk about more early college experience options as well.
Okay.
All right, Mary
we'll
Faith.
circle back.
Yeah, so Mary Faith Zangi is up next to talk about I'm going to call it restructuring in our PE and health classes as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to I'm proposing for a restructuring of the PE and health course offerings here at the high school. Right now, we have a structure where kids are taking PE and health separately every year up at the high school. Based on how it is occurring, we are coupled with the science courses, and it doesn't allow us to have a full semester worth of instruction. So what I'm proposing is that we transition from a quarter semester model to a full semester model of PE and health for the juniors and seniors. They would have one semester between their junior and senior year of PE and one semester of health in their junior and senior PE, providing them their 0.5 credits towards their PE and health requirements. Additionally, with all these transitioning from a quarter to a semester base for the juniors and seniors, all semester base 9th through 10th or 12th grade would then meet for a full semester and meet 6 out of 8 days where they previously were meeting 4 out of 8, allowing each course to carry a full half credit versus a 0.35 or a 0.175 that they might have carried before. With this change, the 9th and 10th grade students would combine together. So 9th and 10th would be in the same class, depending on when they chose to take health and PE in their freshman or sophomore year. And there would be a semester of health and a semester of PE, providing 0.5 of their 1.0 credits for each course. And then the 11th and 12th grade would combine together in health and PE. They can choose which year to take it, and it would be a semester course as well. The purpose of these restructuring, there is an update to our curriculum through the Shape America National Standards in 2024. And these updates and looking, we've now been able to work on the curriculum for a while, will allow us to really be able to scaffold the content so the pacing of it is more fluid and provide a lot more time for application of their learnings within these courses. It's also going to allow for a more personalized learning experience, particularly in PE, that through this structure, we would ultimately be able to begin to offer courses that would prepare them for life outside of Weston, like a lifeguarding course that could fulfill the credit, or a outdoor adventure or pursuits course. And it provides a lot more opportunities for them to feel like they can choose something that best meets their needs as an individual. This is also going to provide students more flexibility in course selection throughout the school, because it frees up some time that they might have been within a PE and health course because of the way that it was structured before, where they were having to take it every year and pretty much take up a semester each time they were taking this course. So they will have more options to choose other electives or courses that they would want to pursue in other departments as well.
Mary Faith, I can just jump in there too, just so that folks on the board can kind of picture the way that the health and PE are scheduled, because it is a little challenging to kind of envision when you're not in the day-to-day of the high school. So our science labs are also attached to our health and our PE classes. So there's a period within a student's schedule that their science lab happens, and if they're in a standard science, they have one lab period per the 8-day rotation. If they're in an honors course, they have 2 lab periods. Opposite those lab periods, in that same period, they will be taking their health or PE classes. So everything is really tied together. And so what we're trying to do is free up some opportunities. What we've also done is partner with other departments in the building, like our academic support and our special education departments, where we're really looking at best utilizing those other periods opposite those labs for students to get some support. We've invested a lot in our literacy lab and our math lab over the last year. This is our first year where we have a dedicated teacher in those labs. And what we're hearing from students pretty routinely is that they're trying to find space in their schedule to access those resources. If students are out, sometimes they have a hard time finding time to make up assessments or to meet with a teacher. So we're really trying to open up our schedule. It's some of our work around student well-being too that came out of our partnership with Challenge Success, to really look at the ways that we can force kids sometimes to take those moments in their schedule over that 8-day cycle of our schedule. So when we looked at the health and PE classes, students as a 9th grader, and we're watching schools around us also make this move. So we're not on an island out here making these changes. We're consulting with other districts, and we're looking at the ways other districts are making these classes more accessible and more consistent. And so really honoring PE and health, just as we do all of our classes here at Weston High School, and treating that as a true, academic department and class, not solely connected to the labs and dependent on those labs for scheduling, which can be really complicated and can sometimes limit options. So once you attach a health and PE to a lab, that locks that, and sometimes it doesn't allow that flexibility for students in their other classes as well. So kind of unlocking that and making these true semester courses. A 9th grader, for example, can come in and say, I want to do my PE and health all in one year. And then that really opens up their 10th grade year, where they do not then have to take a PE or health that year. They can also choose, I'll give the example of my own child in his school. He chose, as a freshman boy, he was like, I want to take PE my freshman year. So he took his semester of PE and said, I'm going to spread it out and I'm going to do a semester of health my sophomore year. And then as a junior, he's focused on academics. He's going to do his health that year. And then senior year wants to be a little bit more active again and can choose to do his PE senior year. So we're really watching this shift. And again, that partnership with our academic support department and our special education department also make sure that we're using that time opposite those lab periods really to the best ability of students, so that they can really use that time wisely and well in their schedule. Okay.
Let's talk about this is kind of an interesting like the way we're trying to explain the request, the possible change in schedule. And we haven't finalized schedules yet. So again, this is a little bit up in the air still. So we're trying to be transparent and mindful of, like, in order for a restructuring like this, how do we make this work within the department that we have, the K-12 department that we have? Go ahead, Meg.
So Mary Faith splits her time right now between the high school and the intermediate school right now. And then we have 3 full-time PE and health teachers in our building. So that split between the high school and WIS was new to us this year. That has not happened historically in my time here. And so what we are suggesting is that 0.2 would come back to the high school, and we do really need that 0.2 back in our programming and our availability for our scheduling to make this come to fruition. Because one of the things that Mary Faith, you could speak to this. We have to do a combined course for our 10th graders for our 11th grade. Right.
The current 9th and the current 11th graders, in order for this it's going to be a transition year next year to allow this to happen. So our current 9th graders in 10th grade would take a semester-long course, half PE, half health, and that would provide them the amount of credit that they need to ultimately graduate with a 1 credit for PE and a 1 credit for health. Similarly, our current juniors next year as seniors, in order to fulfill the requirements without having them take a full semester course of content that they've already taken partly in their previous year, would take a full semester, half PE, half health structured course so that they can get their PE and health requirements to graduate. And then after this transition year, it would then be the way that we had talked about, where they would have to take a 0.5 health and a 0.5 PE during their 9th and 10th grade career, and then a 0.5 health and 0.5 PE during their 11th and 12th grade career.
And so that, while we call it an increase, we're really looking to just restore that 0.2. It is an increase going into next year, but it's bringing us back to our 24, 25 PE and health numbers. There's also a slight increase to the PE budget, so you'll see that in our requests this year. Right now, there's some flexibility based on the quarter system with the high school and the middle school in our archery unit, Mary Faith. Yes, like that's the archery unit. So in order to make sure
flexibility there. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
There's some flexibility right now that we exchange archery equipment back and forth between the middle and high school, but by changing this to the structure that we're looking to change it to, that flexibility wouldn't be there because it would be overlapping in times that people are using the equipment. So as far as archery, we would be requesting to have some monies put in so we can purchase some of the netting and bows so that we can all provide it at the times that we need to. And so some of these changes that are occurring, it's more a personalized, individualized fitness type course for the senior, junior timeframe, and archery would be one of those long-term units that we would be using, that we would just need that equipment.
Amazing. And just to clarify for some people who don't really understand what a 0.2 FTE kind of means in the world of high school scheduling, Megan, can you just give us a little bit better picture of what does 0.2 actually correlate?
Yep. So a full-time teacher teaches 5 classes. 5 times 0.2 is 1.0. So each full year section that a teacher teaches is considered 0.2 of their schedule. So the vast majority of teachers teach 5. We have some part-time teachers in the building as well, but that 0.2 is essentially a course that a teacher would, it could be 2 semester courses or 1 full year course.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to hand it back to Megan.
Okay, so we are also proposing that there's a change to our full-time student status. And really, I don't know that this really is here nor there in reality. We do notice that in some cases, our students have a schedule which only allows them to take 6 classes. So let me just switch from my own screen so I can make sure I'm sharing the right data. So for example, for this school year for the class, our sophomores, we have about 28% have 2 or more free. Sometimes that's due to courses not being available, scheduling constraints. We don't have the same number of elective opportunities maybe that we've had in previous years. And then for the class of 2029, we have about 16% of our students with 2 or more frees. So our program of studies has indicated historically that in order to be considered a full-time student, you would have to take 7 courses. But we're now recognizing, just based on our offerings and the constraints of the schedule, that sometimes it's not possible for students to take 6 courses. Then we also looked at it logically. I always like to apply logic and reason to every decision we make here at the high school. When we look at the expectations for students upon graduation, they need 25 credits to graduate. And so really, if you take the expectation of 6 courses per year, that's 24, plus the program of studies, that mastery-based assessment portfolio that students do, that equates to 25. And that's really at a minimum of what students need to graduate. The vast majority of our students take, and Meredith can speak to this, take well beyond the 25 credits. And so this is really that this is the minimum requirement in order to graduate. You need to have 6 courses each year. And of course, we have our graduation requirements, so they have to fit into those certain buckets. But this change is really appropriate for our program. We just want to make sure that what we say in our student handbook and our program of studies is really what we can also provide to our students and our families. Okay, and we are continuing to expand our ECE opportunities here at the high school. So we are currently offering our ECE in videography. We've offered, we also we've been approved to offer photography. We have been approved to offer popular music and diversity. We're working with the University of Connecticut on our music theory to offer ECE music theory paired with our AP Music Theory course. And we have met, our program council and other members of our school team have met with the ECE folks at UConn and at Sacred Heart. And they have been really helpful because what they've done is they've crosswalked their early college experience opportunities, the college courses that would pair well with the courses we already offer here at Weston High School. And what this does is it allows, in some cases, we may offer a new course that is a dual enrollment course where students are enrolled at Weston High School but able to take a UConn or Sacred Heart College course. Or we may also look at our current courses and say, this really fits well with this UConn or Sacred Heart course, and we can do an overlay and say, while students are taking this, we can also blend the syllabus of the college course with our syllabus here and offer the students the opportunity to get 3 college credits, typically for the low price of about $135, around there, depending on the institution, for 3 credits, which could run families, upwards of $3,000, depending on the institution. So there are many high schools in the area and states all over the country. I have cousins who've done it. I have friends who've done it, where their children are actually able to graduate college early based on either the early college experience credits that they've earned, because it produces an actual college transcript. And that's opposed to the AP college credit, where you have to take the AP test and earn a certain score, typically a 4 or 5 on that, typically a 4, you could maybe a 3, but typically a 4 or a 5 on that AP test in order to earn college credit. So we're not saying that one is better than the other necessarily, but we're providing, this is more of like an equal opportunity environment for students. So the pressures of having to score a 4 or a 5, while warranted, and we still really endorse the benefits of an AP class, but we're also looking at ways in some cases where an AP class may have an overlay with an early college experience opportunity for our students, where they could also then get automatic college credit if they earn a C or better in that class and produce a college transcript. So again, all of those indicators there, college readiness and success, very similar to having a student experience in AP class. Having that experience of the rigor and pace, really, even just taking one advanced class can really set kids up for future success in college. Increase college access for some of our students, and that affordability idea too, that while we are Weston and we know that we know that we still have students who are really mindful of the affordability and the financial impact of a college education.
This is great. I just don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to give credit to Megan and her team because in a small district like Weston, we really are trying to be creative and think outside the box to increase the opportunities to expand our program of studies for students. An early college experience is not as easy to partner with some universities as people may think. There's a review process to the teacher that teaches the curriculum. We have to provide documentation to ensure that the curriculum is aligned to a college level course. And so they've been doing a lot of work to find avenues and make connections across the different departments and the courses to elevate and give more opportunities for students if they successfully complete the class and the course is rigorous and aligned to a college level curriculum. And we have a teacher that meets the requirements to that the university allows so that they can be seen as almost like a professor at the college level, then why not give students credit for doing the work and completing it to the mastery level at a college level? So as Megan said, I think we're going to keep having these conversations as we move forward every year because we're learning and building stronger partnerships between UConn, between Sacred Heart, Fairfield U, University of Bridgeport, Norwalk Community College. We are surrounded by a lot of universities that we can really tap into. And I know that the state is really advocating for public schools to think of unique and creative ways to increase the opportunities for kids. And how do we better work together with the higher education and the public schools? So just want to add that in. Go ahead, Megan.
Right now, we're really focused on the University of Connecticut and Sacred Heart University. I think that they have worked really well with us. We are a small school. We do have the resources that we have. And so we want to make sure that we are also not expanding too fast and too far because we really want to do what we're doing well. We also have a student taking an advanced math class through our high school partnership program at Norwalk Community College, which is now part of the Connecticut Community College system. I think it's been renamed. So we're really trying to take advantage of all avenues for our students to maximize not only what they're doing in high school, but to provide them a nice sound footing as they venture onto their post-secondary experiences.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah. Thanks for grounding me, Megan, and not moving us too fast. You're right. So I think
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, Tina, may I just add one
yes.
thing?
Hi,
I'm
Erica.
so glad that you commended Megan and her team for the expansion of ECE. Like Weston High School is now one of 193 Connecticut high schools participating in the UConn ECE program. There's almost 1,200 UConn ECE instructors throughout the state of Connecticut, and just over 1,700 ECE course sections offered in Connecticut high schools throughout the state, with almost 20,000 Connecticut high school students enrolled in these courses. And I just want to thank you for affording the students in Weston to have the same opportunities that many of their peers have throughout the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, we're excited for the opportunities that they have as a result. So thank you.
So we're closing in on time here. We have 5 minutes till the end of the meeting. And I know we've kind of summarized a lot of the goals of the program of study, and you've heard from all the leaders and our CILs and Megan and her team around how they're constantly reviewing, reflecting on these courses that they're offering every year. While we may be small, we are mighty. And I know that every year they're always looking for ways to expand and create new partnerships and opportunities for students. So I'm going to open it up for questions. Nicole or Peter, if you have anything for the team, given the time frame, I just want to make sure we have time for questions.
Nicole, why don't you start because you're less familiar with all this tonight.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. I want to be really mindful of time, but I do have questions. So thank you everyone for this presentation. It was really great, really helpful, provides a lot of context. But I do have some more clarifying questions, just to kind of understand what, just more overall, just like what the high school course experience is. So, for example, English. So I know Tina mentioned that English 12 is a requirement. So for a student who is taking AP English, that means in one school year they are taking 2 English courses.
No, no. So the requirement every year is fulfilled by certain English classes. So English 12 that we are proposing becomes a year-long course is the standard level, a college prep level of English. We're not touching honors humanities, which is another option that 12th graders have to take to fulfill that 1 credit requirement. We're also not touching AP Lit, which is the 1 credit that students can take to fulfill that 4th credit of English. In the junior year, it's the same thing. They can take standard English, they can take AP Lit in their junior year. So there are various courses that students can take across all departments to fulfill those graduation requirements.
Okay. And then, okay, so thank you. That's helpful. And then, so for math, I've just can you please explain the math sequence to me? So for this new course that okay, and I'm understanding you're saying Connecticut does not have specific standards. They just have, you just have to cover certain areas. But does Weston have specific standards? So Megan, I heard you say that you want everyone to graduate with Algebra 2 knowledge. Does that mean Algebra 2 is required?
Algebra 2, it's hard to say that it is required. Students can certainly graduate high school without taking Algebra 2. Algebra 2 is assessed on the Connecticut State Assessment for high school in 11th grade, which is the SAT. So we know that students are best prepared for taking the SAT if they have taken an Algebra 2 course. So in order to best prepare students to have those opportunities and to score well on those tests or well enough, we want to make sure that students have that Algebra 2 course. So Nicole, in terms of the sequence, typically, and it ranges, right? Because there's a range of math proficiency, and we really know that it begins earlier on. I'm not going to say 5th grade, but it might be 5th grade, 5th or 6th grade, when students start their math progressions. So we have some students who are entering into the high school taking Algebra 1 linear equations, which is that course we instituted last year. We have some students starting Algebra 1 in 9th grade with our standard Algebra 1 course. We also have students coming in as freshmen who may be at the level where they are taking geometry as freshmen, Algebra 2 as freshmen, pre-calculus as freshmen. We have some really talented students who may be taking calculus a year, right? Not a lot, but it ranges. And so what we've really done over the last few years, this is my 4th year now at Weston High School and working with Riley and working with Tina, we've really analyzed what is the best sequence in order to make sure that that Algebra 2 content and potentially pre-calculus content is really accessible for all of our students.
And I just want to clarify the question about the standards. So the state of Connecticut adopts Common Core state standards, which Weston aligns all of their curriculum to. When you get to the high school level for mathematics, though, it does give suggested courses, but it's up to the district to locally design those courses and connect the standards to the courses that we've created. Does that make sense? And so when Megan is saying so by junior, senior year, we expect that all students have the minimum foundation mastery level in this set of standards. And we believe that by Algebra 2 in junior year, that will set them up for higher level success in upper level mathematics courses and also be successful on the SAT, which is a junior mandated assessment that everybody is required to take.
Okay. So just again, understanding the flexibility, but a general or kind of sensible sequence with this new integrated geometry and quadratics would be Algebra 1, then Algebra 1 linear equations.
No. So Algebra 1 linear. So I want you to think about this in terms of students.
Okay.
So student A might come into the high school, and given their current math proficiency, they might come into the high school and they're going to take Algebra 1 linear equations. Then they're going to take geometry with quadratics, that new course that we just proposed. Both of those classes have an emphasis on algebraic skills while also addressing the geometry foundations. And we also know that based on what they need to know for the SAT, that we have some flexibility with geometry. Then they're going to take Algebra 2 in their junior year.
Okay.
So that's one student. And then they could take pre-calculus or statistics or personal finance in their senior year. So they have options and flexibility. And that's that growth of flexibility as they age through high school. Student B may come into the high school and they may say, I'm going to start with Algebra 1, then I'm going to take geometry. At any point too, based on their knowledge, understanding, and performance, they may come in and take Algebra 1 and maybe they want to take geometry honors. Maybe they take Algebra 1 geometry and then they feel like, okay, I've really got a handle on this. I want to take Algebra 2 honors. So there are ways to bump to the honors level as well. So Algebra 1, geometry, Algebra 2, pre-calculus would be student B. Student C may come in. They're already at geometry in their freshman year. They take geometry, Algebra 2, pre-calc, and possibly a calculus, maybe an AP, AB, BC calculus in their senior year.
Yeah, and I'm going to just interrupt because I know course sequencing as a whole, Nicole, is a really robust conversation, and I want to make sure that you get but seriously, we do presentations at the middle school level, and our CILs do it per department so that parents understand, like, what does that succession look like, and what are the options, and how do you move around, and can you double up? All those great questions. So I'm going to encourage us to maybe have a side conversation about that and answer those parts of the questions, and invite you to some of the other presentation. It's a learning process, right?
Definitely. Yeah. I'm also happy to be a part of that conversation.
Yes.
Kids take summer classes for acceleration. Like there's a whole thing with math.
Okay. And then, so then I guess another question was, you said that you sunsetted an advanced algebra.
So it was not advanced. The title of the course was Accelerated Algebra Geometry. And that word accelerated was actually problematic because it led people to believe that that course was an advanced course. What that course was intended to do was catch kids up. And what we realized was there was a rush through Algebra 1, and that course was really not preparing kids well enough to be successful then in Algebra 2. And we were trying to rush kids to some imaginary finish line. And there are white papers out there, there's a lot of research out there that there is no rush, nor should there be, in math progressions. And we really want to make sure that kids have a super strong algebra foundation so that they don't have to then go into an Algebra 2 course or a pre-calculus course and then go, oh my goodness, I don't know this well enough. I didn't have a strong enough foundation. And now they're kind of digging out of a hole, in the early stages of those courses.
Okay. This is all really helpful. Thank you. And then the ECE, my last question is, you also said something that when was ECE introduced to Weston?
So ECE has been around for 50 years.
In Weston?
No.
Okay.
In the state of Connecticut. I just got my little medallion from the University of Connecticut. Weston, Meredith, correct me if I'm wrong, but probably about 20 years ago, had some ECE courses, and ECE has had, a topsy-turvy evolution at times. So I think it's having a moment right now, and it's really successful. And the University of Connecticut has really invested a lot in helping schools and the teachers to really be high schools and the high school teachers to really be in partnership with UConn. They provide professional development. They welcome us into their programs as adjuncts, essentially. And so UConn has realized not only the benefit that provides for the University of Connecticut, but the benefit that it provides in general to our high schoolers in the state. Sacred Heart, seeing the success, Southern, seeing the success of UConn, they have also they've taken the dive into that ECE pool. But we're being really mindful and careful about which colleges and schools that we're partnering with, because again, we are small, and when we do it, we want to do it really well. So we were really fortunate that the rep from UConn came to our leadership team meeting at the high school. The rep from Sacred Heart came in person and met with us. We got all sorts of swag from UConn too, which was nice. And apparently you can even potentially get some football and girls basketball tickets if you're an adjunct at UConn too. So we're continuing to grow in those programs.
But you did mention that American pop music interest was low. So is
It
that
is.
the case with the other ECE classes?
So So videography is popular. Latin, we also offer a Latin ECE courses. We had 13 students, which probably doesn't sound like a lot to you, but in terms of a Latin program and having 13 students in our third year honors wanting to invest in that ECE experience. So I think you kind of have to start slow to go fast. And so that's where we are right now. Tina, I think that's one of your phrases. But that's where we are right now. We're kind of building the opportunities. And then over time, I think the families have to have a greater understanding of ECE. The students have to have a greater understanding of ECE. And that's what we are building slowly. And so we've taken some, I'm going to say risks, right, with our music and our arts programs. And we've done it in Latin. And now we're seeing a growing interest. We had a conversation about the potential of doing it with our economics program. And maybe there are opportunities in our science programs, not where we're creating new courses, as I said, but where we're really overlaying the syllabi of the ECE with our syllabi here at Weston High School.
Okay, this is really helpful. Thank you everyone so much. To the extent we can do another session on just understanding course selection schedule for high schoolers, or if you want to invite me to a session that you're doing with parents and students, whatever way I can get the information would be really helpful. So
Yes,
thank you.
we will definitely build your capacity. You will
Thank
be
you.
on information
So
overload.
I have my own, I have an advisory. We all have, well, not actually, I think I might be the only one. I have my advisory ninth graders about to descend on my office. So I'm going to have to run.
Thank you, Megan.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We're a little over time. I don't think we'll get to agenda item future meeting topics, but in a sense, we'll let Lisa Luft actually chime in. So again, we'll defer.
Yeah, those are just future meeting topic presentations that will be on the agenda that have evolved. It's not necessarily like an agenda item. Just
Right.
want to give people some preparation as
A little early look.
Exactly.
So, Nicole, good questions. Clearly, in our capacity, we're advocates. So to be good advocates, you are correct in really being an informed advocate. So moving into the budget season, that's part of our role here. We'll add that I didn't see any change in science, which is a good assumption going in. Nicole, for your benefit, there was a change in language arts in the last budget discussions, and it was maybe it caused a little consternation among some parents, but we're looking like we're avoiding not having course offerings. So that's a good thing to avoid in this session, right, Tina? So that again, we can advocate with confidence. And I'll add that I'm a big proponent of ECE, and it'd be interesting moving forward if it requires lab components in science, how do we resource that? If it's simply an overlay or if it's going to demand capabilities, but that's to be dealt with at that time. And my only sort of happy thought is for Liz Morris. I like to see one day a portrait of a graduate play their guitar and sing a song for their presentation.
They did.
Did someone once do that?
Yeah, that is the student that.
Oh, that's fantastic. See, that's
yes.
cool. Right, that's a good way of doing it. All right, so I missed that
You
one.
could watch it too, Peter.
I gotta come for the next one. With that said, I think we covered everything.
Yeah,
Very
just
well.
before you close and adjourn, Peter, just as a reminder, the December full Board of Education meeting, we are doing a presentation on the Next Generation Accountability Report for the full board. We've done that. Typically, that topic has been in the subcommittee meeting here, but because of the timing and because of the importance of that topic, Erica and I agreed that it would be good that everybody be involved in that conversation. And then looking ahead, the presentation in January will be an AI Advisory Committee update to give you an insight to see on what the District AI Advisory Committee has done over the last year and a few months. We've been really working hard to elevate everyone's capacity and understanding of AI tools and move the district forward. I think in some cases we are a leader in some of this work, which is really exciting. And so that'll be the next focus for January's meeting. Thank you.
That's this subcommittee's meeting, or is that to the full board?
The January's meeting is in the subcommittee, and that is the AI Advisory Committee update. Yes.
All right. With all those updates,
And I just want to thank Mary Faith, Amy Holmes, and Liz and Riley, she's not here, and also Meredith for putting all this together and giving us an update and taking time out of the day. Don't forget, these subcommittees are in the middle of the time that like school is happening. So they have to carve out the time to actually be here today. So I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone.
thank you. So with that said, I need a motion to adjourn. Nicole, please.
I move to adjourn.
I second it. We agree on it. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day.
Well
Thank you
done,
so much,
Peter. Well
everyone.
done. Really proud of you. Great job.
Take care. All right.
Bye.
Bye.